And now the G-Show, or what Austin refers to as the Joshua Screen Reader, aka Commentary Screen Reader CSR. This is where some feature of this screen reader is demonstrated.
Hello everyone, in this demonstration I'm going to talk about the custom translation feature. Back in February, I think the developer had introduced the ability to modify translation strings according to users' liking, and it was possible to import and export those modifications. And recently, the developer had added additional option, which is to share those modifications to G-Show servers so other users can find them and download them easily. Let's see how all of this works by going to G-Show settings from the main menu.
G-Show settings. G-Show plus.
Then advanced settings.
Advanced settings. Advanced settings.
Then language settings.
Language settings. Language settings.
And for the modifications to take effect, you have to use this option.
Use custom translation checkbox checked.
Use custom translation. Here you have a list that contains all of the translation strings. You will hear the original string and the translation, the default translation. And if the option is still not translated, it will be announced, of course, in Chinese. To modify a string, you double tap. So let's see here.
Usage hint summary controls whether various useful hint. OK button.
This is the summary related to the usage hints option. When you double tap, you will be focusing the text box containing the translation. And you can type.
Granular editing mode button.
You can modify this text and you can clear it, then type the text that you want. When you are done, just tap OK. And to go back without doing anything, you can tap cancel. Also, you can do the back gesture or you can tap the back button. If you want to search for a specific text, you have to use the list browsing. I'll select it from the main menu. I think the default gesture should be the swiping right, then down. And also, of course, you can assign another gesture to it if you want.
Main list browsing. Language set. G-Show plus list browsing.
In list browsing,
enter keyword text box.
I'll tap on enter keyword and I can type. So I will type the word sound.
S-O-O-U-U-N-2-N-D-D.
It is showing me above the keyword the results, and it told me immediately the number of results.
Use sound title, sound feedback, use sound summary control. Scroll back button unavailable.
Here it will search among the visible content on the screen or the visible items. And to scroll, I use the scroll down to move forward and scroll up to move backward. Here you will hear them scroll forward and scroll back because I modified them.
Scroll back button unavailable. Scroll forward button. G-Show plus list browsing.
So it started scrolling and it showed me the result. So it stopped when it found a result.
Use sound title, sound feedback. Use scroll back button. Scroll forward button. G-Show plus list browsing.
So I scrolled again and it continued scrolling until it found another result. So it will continue scrolling until either reaching the end or finding a result. Okay, so let's go back now.
Language settings.
In the original strings, you will have hints that will tell you what are you dealing with. So when you hear title, you will be usually dealing with an option name or a setting. If you hear the command, you know that you are dealing with the list of functions that you can assign gesture to, and you can find in the main menu, as well as you can put them in auto-clicks preceded by the % sign. Message means the messages that are spoken by Jisho, like browse by touch suspended, browse by touch resumed. Summary is the explanation of a certain option or feature. Voice CMD is the voice commands that Jisho uses in the Jisho voice assistant. Also, you have the default value for some gestures and volume key presses, which you can modify here. Another thing that you will find is the stuff related to the OK button, the cancel, the done, all of those things. Sometimes you will see something containing %D or %S or both. Those are representing certain information that Jisho will tell you, like a character or the battery level, the state of charging, the number of characters, and other things. The %S or %D is representing this information, and the text that you add before or after this will let you decide how to say this information and how to introduce it. You should pay attention to something when you are modifying translation strings, which is related to commands. When you modify a command, you should modify the gesture if you have assigned it to a gesture in order for it to work. So you should go to the gesture scheme that you are using and tap on the gesture, then function, and set the new function with the new name to be as the action related to this gesture. Sometimes when you do a modification, it will not take effect until you force stop Jisho and relaunch it. When you are done with modifications, you tap on save. If you don't tap save and you move back, you should lose your changes.
Items from 61 to 76, 1,559 items in total.
At the end, you find the new strings. So whenever something new is added, it will be at the end. Also, there are the sound names related to the sound scheme. And by the way, currently, there are still things in Chinese which are at the end, as I said, because they have been recently added to the strings and they are not in the default translation yet. When you tap on more options
button,
you find
share.
The share. When you tap on this, you will be able to upload this or your modifications to the Jisho servers.
Import.
Also, you have the import to import the translation file if it was done by you before or if it was created by someone else. So,
scanning in progress 3 period.
It does a scan and it will show you
/storage /emulated /0
Jisho.
/resources /Kareen Kiwan and 20,230. Back button. /storage /emulated /0 /Jisho /resources /Kareen Kiwan strings.json.
Okay, so it is telling you the path and the name of the file. So if I double tap,
Kareen Kiwan strings. Kareen Kiwan. Line, no.
Okay, this is still in Chinese. It's telling you that you can import this file and you can either merge it or overwrite the other translation if you have one. And it is telling you that it's better to export your translations before doing the import in order not to lose anything that you have modified.
Command copy to cloud clipboard.
Okay, and it is showing me the list of all the modifications that I did or that are contained in the file. You should find the same list and the same message when you download something from the server. And you will have
Merge button.
the merge,
Cancel button. Then overwrite button.
overwrite, cancel, and merge. When you select overwrite, you are replacing the modifications or any previous modification with this new file. So if in this file something is not translated, even if you have translated this thing before, it will be returned back to its default state, because only the modifications included in this new file are going to take effect. If you select merge, you are merging the two files together. So you are merging the new file with the old modifications. So if you have translated something in the new file and other thing in the old modifications, you will be having them both. But if something is translated in the new file and in the old modification, the new translation will be taking effect, not the old one. So it will be updated to the new translation. And of course, if you want to go back without importing, you tap on cancel.
MSG use recent button. Merge button. Cancel button. Language settings.
The other option is
Export.
export. In export, you are exporting your modifications. They will be saved in GShow main folder in the resources folder. The other option that you will have
Default. Download.
is download. It will take you to
Translations.
here. It's called translations according to my modification. So
Translations. Enter keyword text box.
I can search
Armamid 1000. Enter Android landword strings.json.
and I can navigate
Nbazad 3 strings.json. Android landword strings.json. Mesteranas strings.json.
Let's double tap this one.
Mesteranas string. Mesteranas 2000. Mudianwa. Max 2. KS 2000. Cancel button.
To download it, I tap on download, and it will be
Download button.
added to the downloads folder in GShow. Then it will ask me to import it, whether I want to, the same dialogue that I had before when I imported my own file.
Cancel button. Translations.
Of course, regarding the Chinese options, they should be added to the default translations. I'm not sure when, but they should be.
Nbazad 3 strings.json. Language settings.
So now you have either to do the modifications yourself or download a shared translation. Be careful and review the modifications before importing. And also, if you have done modifications before, you can export them. Then if you don't like the new changes, you can just import your file and overwrite. So import the file that you have exported before and choose overwrite.
More options button. Default.
The last option is the default. It will return everything to its default state. So it should delete all of the modifications.
Attention, clicking OK will restore the default settings. Attention. Click cancel button. Language settings.
When you are doing modifications, it's better to familiarize yourself with the strings and how this translation works. It's not really a hard process, but you should know what you are doing. The ability to customize translations is really a great feature because, as you know, not all users are alike. So we may prefer different names, we may prefer different spoken messages. Some people may prefer shorter summaries. And this is all achieved by editing translations by users. However, personally, I'm not in favor of giving the ability to share to the servers, to all users. I think that may create some unnecessary mess, and some people even will not be able to know which translation is good and which is not, and which translation contains a certain modification and what was really modified in this translation. And sometimes it will be also hard to check all the modifications, especially when the list of changes is very long. Anyway, the option to share is here. You can use it and you can ignore it. It's up to you. So this was a look at the custom translation feature. I hope that it was clear and useful. Thank you for listening.